Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, and in today's video, we're going to talk about what I mentioned yesterday on the blog, and that's that I want to do a bit of a retrospective on Gambit's Ace of Raids event. Particularly, I want to hone in on what our expectations were here for Week 2, and how it fell flat when it came to the Glimmer Bracelet. Now, some of this was hinged on some comments that were made by CM Archangel, and this video isn't intended at all to be a hate fest towards our new CM. It's more to shed some light on, what goes on in the Envoy channel and why we should really have tempered our expectations here on the words that came out. And, I feel a little bit bad about my video that I said that people should follow what he said and open your mail, because I expected that the bracelet milestone was going to be a fair bit lower than what we got. But we're going to expand on all of this from start to finish and get my thoughts on the whole mess, because I haven't really had time to sit down and speak my mind about how I feel about this event. So if you're ready to go, then let's boil this down. And of course, we have to start here, because this is where the story starts, for the most part. Right, and so this was a comment that was made, by Archangel to Tana in the Envoy chat, Discord channel, and to be clear, that this was in the public Discord channel, which suggests to the envoys that this is shareable to the internet and whatnot, and it did, right? It got shared to Reddit and other Discords, and we kind of latched onto this comment here. And just, we'll read it out. As far as I know, it's basically talking about, should we hold onto our currency from week 1 in the mail, like a lot of us were doing, into week 2. And Archangel says, as far as I know, the Gambit cards will carry over since it's the same currency. But keep in mind, the bracelet should be easy for most people in a decent alliance. So my recommendation is for people that have the cards in their box at the moment should collect them for this event, unless their alliance sucks. Now, this has been the buzzword that's been going around, and it's kind of a little bit of a gag, right? Does your alliance suck? Do you suck? Does your alliance suck at Marvel Strike Force for the Gambit raids? And because of where you need to be in order to be able to get the Glimmer Bracelet. If you opened all your mail and you started from scratch on week 2, you're basically looking at high 80 to 90% on difficulty 6 every single day, or with some hundreds thrown in there, or doing 100, I believe, on difficulty 4 and 5 every single day. That's like kind of the bare minimum that you need to do. Depends on whether or not you're running 8 or 9 raids, depending on how many you fit in there. So that's currently where we're sitting at. And I guess the situation is that I also claimed my week 1 rewards. Some of my alliance members did. I think some of them actually saved, because when I looked at the current milestone rankings, I'm pretty low, which suggests that they held more than I did. And the point of this is that, had you actually saved your rewards, will you have gotten closer to the Glimmer Bracelet? Yes, you would have. I mean, obviously, because some of the points would have carried over. But not that much, because when they actually changed this to an alliance-based format, your rewards got diluted down, right? So, your 500 or 600 per mail, that would have been the equivalent of one person out of 24 in a single day. So if everyone in your alliance didn't actually save, then your individual contribution towards the milestone would have been pretty low, right? If you had 4 mails with 600 cards, that would have been 2,400. That would have been 1/6 of a day's worth, for one person. Now, if everyone did it, great. Then maybe if all 24 of you saved 3 days worth, then that would have been 3 additional days towards the Glimmer Bracelet milestone. And yes, that might have made an impact for you, especially if you were in an alliance that was doing difficulty 4 or 5 or something like that, right? For 6s and above, it wouldn't have made much of a difference, probably. But, that's what we're at, is like, what are the percentage of people now that are actually going to get the Glimmer Bracelet? And that's part of the problem, and that's what I kind of want to look back at. And so this is where we're currently at as of recording the video for Ace of Raids for me and my alliance. And you can see, participation-wise, there's some pretty high up there people, and then there's me, who's like at 20. So I'm assuming that anyone around me, like basically 24 to 18, any of these are we probably all claimed our mail. prior to week 2. I'm assuming based on, because it's an alliance-based milestone and we all get, similar rewards, right? So I'm thinking that basically anyone that's like over 2,500 at this point probably saved their mail. And you can see like Kano, thanks Kano, you probably saved your mail. And I don't know who saved and who didn't in the alliance, but I'm just assuming based on the numbers that they probably did. Anyone definitely over 2,500 at this stage probably hoarded their mail a little bit. And that's going to help towards us getting to that Glimmer Bracelet, because they were so lazy in their changes. And, I did a video on this and I did the math video, and now that I've had some time to think about it, it really just doesn't make me, feel very good about this. But I think we will get it, but, it's going to be kind of close. And they were just super lazy about multiplying this by 24. Just taking the 10,000 previous milestone and multiplying it by 24 to get 240,000. The Glimmer Bracelet was reduced very slightly, because if you guys remember, it was 8330, and if you times 8330 by 24, you get something like 200k. So it did go down very, very slightly. On a scale of 10k, it actually became like 7970 instead of 8330. I would have expected this to go down quite a bit, like something around the 150, somewhere between 15 and 16. One of these two milestones, I think, would have been significantly better, because that means that people who aren't running 100% would have had a much larger chance to actually get this. And that's part of the problem, because of how important that this bracelet is for people to get more points on the Rolling Rebel. And this is part of the reason why I just have a little bit of a frustration towards the month-long events. Because, if another thing in July happens like Ace of Raids, then, we're going to have and I hope not, but then we're going to have problems with getting those points that you need for the main milestone. And maybe that's why I'm just super frustrated with the way that these events work. That it just basically takes things from this, funnels it into the other milestone, and it's something that you need, right? Not having that 10,000 will make a significant impact on whether or not you get a 4-star Dazzler. For some people, it might be whether or not you actually unlock her, because she's a 100 shard character, and so on and so forth. I think this would have opened up a lot of players to getting the bracelet had it been like 150k. Even that 40,000 difference, would have made a pretty significant impact in regards to who could have got it. And, I can bring up the sheets here right now. So that's the old sheet. This is the new sheet here. And you can see that, basically based on whether or not you're at 8 or 9 days, if you're at 30%, you're probably screwed. But if you're in an alliance that can do like 60%, let's zoom in here. We have, let's say, difficulty 5. Like, that would have been close to 150k on 8 days. And if you were doing 9-day runs, then you would have definitely got it. And you would have got that on 9 days as well at difficulty 4. So you can see how the thresholds here. And you know what? 140k for 8 days at difficulty 4, 60%. If you were running like close to 80 or 90%, most likely you would make the cut as well. So I think this would have been a much more manageable, more reasonable range for people running difficulty 4 and 5 to have a shot at getting this item. And I think that that's what they should have done. They didn't do that. And it's highly unfortunate. Now, going back to the Rolling Rebel milestone, of course, this is where I'm at. And, I've luckily, somehow, miraculously been able to get everything so far. If we get the Glimmer Bracelet, then that's going to stick me at 48,000, which basically is everything except for milestone 40. Whether or not we get there is a completely, different question, and whether or not we have to get offers, which I'm not going to do, of course. But the 10,000 would get you that 4-star Dazzler, which you're short of 30 shards for, and I think that, and some of these things which are really nice to have, right? And that would have been really, really good. For some people, it might, make the difference between unlocking her. If you didn't manage to complete everything in the month and you're a little bit behind or whatnot, then that 10,000 would have made a significant difference for that. And so that's why I feel like they should have been a little bit more fair. In terms of the percentage of players who might actually get the Glimmer Bracelet and therefore get the 10,000 points, I want to say 90% of players might not get it. And where it may be more. And where I'm getting that figure from is because my raid milestone, my 2-week raid milestone payout puts my alliance in the top 1 to 2% of players. Or 1 to 2% of alliances, sorry, not players. So that kind of makes me think that, yeah, okay, so I'm probably in that top 10% of players that are going to get the Glimmer Bracelet and everyone else doesn't. And that's not fair. And so that's why I want to pivot back really quickly to this comment once again. Now, there are plenty of comments. There's quite a few comments online on Reddit by Archangel, and I think that's a good thing. I don't want this to be a hate on him. It's not. I've spoken to him directly, and I had a decent feeling. I don't know him personally well enough. We've had a couple conversations, and that it's better than what I've had with anyone else. Let's put it that way. So that's positive. But I think some of these off the cuff remarks, and I think that's what it kind of was, because just by the language, you can tell that this was not language that was probably meant for Reddit, or probably meant for online spread, internet spreading. And that's something that I'm sure that he's going to learn as well. And so I hope that he does watch this, and if he hasn't, thought about this by now, I'm sure he will, that there's some things that you should, the way you say it is really important, right? Because we're going to gravitate towards this language, and we take in this language about our alliance sucking, because if you, in a community manager telling you that you suck, if you can't get the Glimmer Bracelet, right? And what should have been better is I think we should have had the numbers, because if I'm not mistaken, there was some additional comments down below after this, where Tana, I believe, or someone else maybe, was asking for the numbers, like, would you get it at difficulty 60%? He couldn't provide the numbers. That's a bit unfortunate, because then we could have made our own decision about whether or not it's easy or not with the actual numbers in hand, but we didn't. We had to wait until the event reset into week 2, which at that point, many of us had already actually claimed our mail, so we were kind of screwed at that point. So I think in the future, what I would like to see from Archangel, what I would like to see from our community manager, is that try and get this additional information. If you can't, maybe just not say it in this way that people will latch onto, and then if things go wrong or things go poorly in the community, then we won't have to blame you for it. I think what's great, though, is that he is a player of Marvel Strike Force. He is from, he I don't know if he's an alliance leader or something like that, but he is playing the game, and he plays it, from what I understand, to a degree that's maybe not far off my own. I think something like 15 million TCP. I'm a bit higher than that, but for what it's worth, so he is someone that plays the game and someone that knows what goes on in the game, which is great. That's what we wanted, and we wanted a community manager that actually communicated with the community, which is what we're getting. I think what's left, I guess, is just making sure that the right language is used at the right time. Try to get the information that we're looking to get, or I guess if you can't, then just tell us that you can't. That way we have a proper expectation. We can temper our expectations around that, and we won't jump the gun about what we should and shouldn't do. And I think in this case, he gave a recommendation. It ended up being a poorer recommendation. I took the recommendation, I did it, and I told people that they should do it as well. And so for that, I feel bad, and for that, I'm sorry. Especially if it led to some players, some alliances not being able to achieve the Glimmer Bracelet milestone, and there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately, at this time. But I think going forward into the future, I hope that we all learned something here today, and that's without the raw numbers, the facts, the data, then we shouldn't jump the gun based on a message, based on a comment that was made most likely off the cuff, most likely not intended to be spread around the internet. And I think that's what I've learned here today, is to not really take everything for gospel. Neither should we all. You should all think about this and what you want to do individually. I did say that in my video, that it might not be for everyone to claim, but I think that some people did, and this is a result. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about all of this. Ace of Raids Week 2. How is this going to impact your alliance? Had you saved some mail, would that, or do you think that would have allowed you to get to the Glimmer Bracelet if you're feeling that you're not going to get it now? I heard, I don't know if it's going to happen, don't take this for gospel. I heard that there might be a login calendar somewhere to make up for this. Don't know if that's happening, but if it is, that would be awesome. That would be a great way to improve goodwill on the community, to make up for some of the people who did claim early in week 1. Anyways, that's the end of the video, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.